So you've just recently come out with a new book. You've just recently published a book. It's going to be available on Amazon. It's called The Road to Moral Capitalism. Go ahead and give our viewers some insights into what they'll find when they pick up the book.
Well, the book is sort of a sequel. It's the second book. The first book I wrote in 2004 was Moral Capitalism, which is kind of like a description of how a capitalistic system could reflect morality and ethics. And the core concept there was one of stewardship and trust. That business has an office to society. It means you have to be responsible to your customers, your employees, your suppliers, your owners, the community, the environment. Then, with the crisis of 2008, when Wall Street failed and credit markets around the world collapsed, a lot of people began to turn and say, hey, this moral capitalism idea is not so bad. We'd like to have it. So what went wrong and how could we get there? So there were a number of essays I started writing to thinking about the way to moral capitalism, the road to moral capitalism. How do you get there? And some of them are really analyzing what went wrong with Wall Street. Why was there this crisis? Looking at the use of too much debt and bad valuations. One of the things that I think is very important is that capitalism works with good pricing. The goal of an efficient market is that the prices are pretty solid. If you buy a pen for 50 cents, that's a fair price for the pen. How do we know what the price of a house is, or a CDO, or a share of stock, or what should we pay for a company? How much should we pay for medicine? Certain medicines are now sold. One kind of medicine to deal with cystic fibrosis for one patient, $250,000 for a year. Huge profit for the companies, which are therefore valued billions of dollars. Well, should somebody have to pay that much money for medicine? What is value? Where does it come from? How do we calculate it? And how does value of a company relate to the ethics? Roughly speaking, what I'm suggesting is good ethics means good relationships with people. So your customers are satisfied, your employees work hard or productive. In the out years, the odds of your making good money are higher, which means now if we come back to the present time and we say, what is your company worth? Your company is worth today some function related to its future income. If you'll be bankrupt in a month, you're not worth anything today. If you're going to be making steady profits for the next 10 years, you're worth something. In order to estimate the predictability, the reliability of those profits in the future, we need to judge how you take care of your customers, your employees, your owners, the community, the environment. So we talked about that. The other thing is an analysis of bad valuation with too much debt, and I'm really surprised, but on the other hand, not surprised at all, that here in early July 2015, when we were talking, the Chinese stock market, the Shanghai stock market, is collapsing just the way Wall Street did for the same reasons. Bad valuations supported by too much debt. And actually, the first one of these financial collapses was the tulip mania in Holland in, I think, 1626 or 1636. No, it was in the early phases of capitalism. We already had one of these financial crises. It was about tulip bulbs. And the value of tulip bulbs just went way sky high, could not be sustained, and then it collapsed, and a lot of people lost money. And every time we've had one of these crises, it's the middle class and below, or the lower ends of the upper class, that get hurt the most. In other words, these crises attack the middle class. And middle classes are very necessary for economic justice and political justice in our society. So why do we have financial architecture, which always sort of puts the middle class at risk? It's a question I ask. And then I try to provide some answers as to what's wrong and how we could change our thinking.